We've had barristers tell us that the law is really hard to understand, and we're having the users tell us that there are complications within it that even the administrators are finding difficult to explain. It's a bit like the RMA. You just add a bit to it and add a bit to it, and eventually it becomes unworkable, and that's the sort of stage that we're at now with the Arms Act. At the end of the day, I think I'm doing the right thing, and I'm doing the right thing for New Zealand. I'm just going to keep on going. And if people want to attack me personally, well then that's their problem. I'm still on a mission to get the best firearm laws in the world.
Is this the reason that you went into politics?
It is. It's quite simple. It was the Arms Act rewrite, or the changes that we needed to implement, that made me come here, or go to Parliament I should say. It's frustrating because those that have licences are deemed to be fit and proper by New Zealand Police. They have to jump through the hoops. It's not just picking out a firearms licence through a Weet-Bix packet. It is a rigmarole that you have to go to, whereas the gangs don't have any of that. There's no oversight, there's no safety courses that they have to go through, there's no regime at all. We're wondering where on earth did they get their firearms from. We're being told they only come from licensed firearm owners, and we know that's not true. We need to have a look at the other avenues, importation as an example. We're looking at removing the administration and regulatory aspect from police and get them to deal with the enforcement, which is what they're really, really good at.
And have the laws that came in following March 15, have they made it harder for gun clubs and for shooting ranges?
Yes, they have. And
how hard has it made it? Is it like less financially viable? And can you talk us through that?
Yeah, so in some respects it is. It's a time commitment. These are volunteers that run these organisations. It's a security over information commitment that they have to legally adhere to, but are worried about how they maintain security of some of that information. It's about making sure that we can support them rather than put a whole lot of unnecessary regulation on them. And some of it's repetitive. What Brenton Tarrant did when he turned up at these different ranges was legal. What he did at home, what he did in his own time, was illegal. He had a legal firearm. He had been given from New Zealand Police a firearms licence. You can't expect the volunteers at the ranges to understand a person's motive or intent when everything that they do when they come to the range is within the law. He found loopholes within the system, which the previous government hoped that they closed, but they did close some of those loopholes, but they've made it so restrictive and so cumbersome that a lot of it is hard to actually work through. That becomes an issue because we all end up being treated like we are the criminals.
So are you going to make it easier for people to have military-style weapons? That's
never been my intent, to make it easy for people to have them. It was never easy for them to have what they were called military-style semi-automatics in the first place. The semi-automatics are still there, and this is where there's a lot of confusion because people say to me, you're going to bring back semi-automatics. I'm saying, well, semi-automatics were actually not banned. They're still there, they're still out there. Our Defence Force still have them, our pest controllers still have them. But I did campaign on bringing back that type of firearm for sporting competition, which would again have a higher grade of security and a higher grade of checking that a person maintains fit and proper.
But if you get it wrong and just one person slips through these new rules, it can be horrific. Yes. I mean, we can have another March 15. So you get it wrong.
Yep. And I take that on board, and I'm well aware of that. It's something that I have to think about every time I sign off a paper, the what ifs, and can I see any loopholes within whatever it is that we are signing off at the time. But the reality is that right at this moment, I feel that we have such bad legislation that we could still have horrific offence occur because the legislation isn't written in a way that I think would help prevent it. I went down to Christchurch, spent a day down there and met with 5 different Muslim groups from the Christchurch community, as well as having a person from the Muslim group on my Minister's Arms Advisory Group, and I went to the mosque for a meeting in Wellington just recently as well. Their views are legitimate, but I cannot write an entire act for the future based on one incident.
You call it one terrorist incident, I mean it was one hell of it. I mean,
massive
compared to everything else, it was the worst.
absolutely. No, I totally get that. And I'm sorry if that came across, I didn't mean it to come across that way. I just meant that the Arms Act, I've got to look to the 3D printing aspect. I mean, ultimately, all of this will protect not only the Muslim community in the future, but it should protect all communities within New Zealand. And I want to get it right. I mean, nobody wants to come into government, become a minister, say they're going to make a change and get it wrong. So I will do everything in my power to make sure that we dot the I's, cross the T's and have a safer community because of it.